Okay. So the first question is, I follow Dharma and live in a country where most people do not. I see them suffer, but they are committed to their beliefs. How might I respond? Well, the whole of samsara is made up of beliefs. Beliefs are ways in which we give shape to the potential for manifestation. Whether we believe that there is a God in heaven who made the world, or whether we believe in ignorance and karma, these are ideas. So from our Dharma point of view, we want to see the root of the idea. When we see that an idea, a belief, a concept, a thought, these are the energy of emptiness, then we start to have some freedom. We don't take ourselves so seriously. Buddhism is non-dogmatic because essentially it is experiential. Of course, we believe some things in order to help us review our existing positionings. But then we enter into the meditation practice where we see the transitory, insubstantial nature of all beliefs. So when we encounter people with beliefs, and we see that their personal identity is based on their attachment to these beliefs, and they don't want to change, then we just leave them with their beliefs. Shouldn't we help them? But they don't want to be helped. So they don't have a problem. We think they have a problem, but they don't think they have a problem. They think we have a problem because we are not going to go to heaven with Jesus or whoever. Fighting about religious positions is the same as fighting about which is the best football team. When we take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, this is a support for the actual meditation practice, which allows us to see that the Buddha is empty, the Bodhisattvas are empty, we are empty. So if we get upset because other people have false beliefs, then we are right and they're wrong. So we have a better quality of stupidity to them. So we should not worry about good, bad, right, wrong, debating, theological discussions. Much better to do our practice. Then we have clarity, which optimizes our chance, our possibility of relating to other people without setting up an antagonism. If we are critical and hostile, that's likely to bring a defensive position in the other. So we help people by doing our practice. Ours is a Mahayana practice. It includes all sentient beings within it. The entry point to awakening is through observing your own mind, not believing in the Buddha. When you die and you want to meet the Buddha, it's your own meditation practice which provides the vehicle for meeting the Buddha. When you die, you leave your shoes and your clothes, your money and your friends, and your ideas and your thoughts and your memories. And you lose your Buddhist meditation and your Buddhist membership card. It is the clarity of your mind, which is your best friend when you go into the bardo at death. So what people believe is secondary. The main thing is to get to know how your mind is. So the next question is, I have a lot of negative thoughts, although I try to be a good person. Where do these thoughts come from and how to stop them? So the subtle tendencies that we have operating inside the continuum of our mental existence have been installed in previous life situations. And one aspect of our consciousness is permeated by the 5 poisons. Our opacity, our desire, aversion, pride, and jealousy. These are already inside the structure of our dualistic consciousness. And sometimes they manifest spontaneously, sometimes they're reactive to the behavior of other people or in factors in the environment. And we find an upsurge of anger or jealousy or intolerance. So now I'm angry. If you believe that you exist and the anger arises, it arises in your mind. So it's your anger. Good people are not angry. So there are two factors operating. Firstly, you are an angry person. And secondly, you are a bad person. So I'm glad I'm not you. So that's how we feel. We don't want to be like that. So it looks as if the problem lies in the anger or the jealousy or the pride or the meanness, the nastiness. So I need to remove this from my mind. The problem is that the mind is not like the pocket in your jacket that you can take everything out of it. These are emergent phenomena. They show themselves and then they vanish. They vanish back into the matrix out of which they emerge. So although in a sense it's my anger because I'm feeling the anger, I'm only feeling the anger because it suffuses me, it arises through me, but before I wasn't angry. So my anger is not a possession. Well, a little bit it's a grammar problem because I can say my shoes, my pen, my anger. So it's as if it is something which I have, but it's more something that has me. So I could say my cold if my nose is running, but the cold has caught hold of me. The cold is the owner, the anger is the owner, not my ego self. So when we see that, we see that the mind has many, many aspects to it which are beyond the control of our ego self. We can't get mastery over the content of the mind. But neither are we condemned to be the slave of whatever is arising. We follow the middle way by observing the emergence of the experience as it arises. So it's useful, firstly, to do the shamatha practice to calm the mind, then the vipassana scanning to see the impermanence of the arisings. And then we start to see the problem arises in attachment or identification. So if a angry vibration starts to emerge in your mental continuum and you identify with it, then you encourage the anger to completely take over how you are. I'm really angry with you. But I did that. It's not that I made the anger, but I gave myself into the anger. You can't think your way out of this issue. But by practicing, simply sitting and opening the space of the mind so that whatever comes, comes, whatever goes, goes, then you start to taste your intrinsic freedom, which is to say, I don't have to be involved. So it's not about stopping the arising or the object. It's about releasing myself from the need to get involved. And the second aspect of this question is how to purify the karmic effects of bad thoughts, intentions, and deeds. The Buddha teaches the possibility of liberation. Whatever we are caught up in, whatever we are attached to, whatever we identify with, is not intrinsic. It's contingent. It arises due to circumstances. So very often people who are a bit socially anxious have the potential for this has been ripened in their family when they were younger, when they didn't receive the love and support they needed. They felt insecure. So on the television, you can see nature programs where they show some very dry desert area in Africa. And once in 12 years, the rain falls. And suddenly all these plants are growing. The seeds were there, the potential was there, but until the rain fell, they couldn't be activated. So this is the same with our karmic tendencies. The originating circumstance in which we developed our anger or jealousy or murderous hatred of our siblings was the potential of the 5 poisons, which arises from duality, which arises from ignorance. And so this is a potential which is always there for us. And then an event arises, you're born into a family and you have a big bullying brother and you're always being provoked and you become full of hatred. So generally we would say, oh, my brother makes me so angry, as if he was the prime causal force. If only I didn't have that brother, I would be very friendly and relaxed. In the Tibetan, they talk about the basic cause, the gyu, and the ripening or provoking circumstances, the kyen. So my being born in samsara with this potential for the 5 poisons, this arises from the root cause of ignorance. In this life, I find myself born in a family with a bullying big brother. So he is the kyen, the provocative circumstance which activates the basic cause, the root cause, which is already in me. But usually in duality, we project the cause out onto other people. And that's behind so many of the wars and acts of violence we have in the world, because we imagine that the total cause is the bad action of the other person. So as meditators, we turn our gaze in to observe our own mind, and we can then see these subtle tendencies moving around, trying to control these potentials and tendencies by renunciation, by becoming a monk or a nun and living very simply, is not sufficient. If I am controlling myself, I am maintaining the duality of myself as subject and myself as object. So from the Mahayana point of view, rather than control, which keeps us anxiously attentive all the time, we practice in order to see the emptiness of the ground of ourself and of the circumstances within which we live. And when this projection of dualism and the polarization of binary thinking, good, bad, right, wrong, is released, then you have the best purification of negative karma and tendencies, because you have the non-activation of the contents of the mind, because awareness doesn't need to activate them. It is the ego which is interested in having something going on. It is nourished by experience. So we say, you are so annoying. I get so irritated when you speak this way. No doubt we have all had this experience of speaking like this. And in the moment that we speak like that, it seems completely true. I was feeling fine. And then again, you start on about the same thing on and on. You drive me crazy. You are the one making me in this bad mood. So as long as we are thinking you are real, I am real, and we are completely separate, but you crash into me, then we have no protection against these kind of provocations. So what is essential for our practice is to open to the unborn ground of all experience. And this is calm and peaceful and non-reactive. Oh, this is why meditation is so very important. But conceptual control will not be sufficient. So there's a question about what should we do to prepare for sleep and to prepare at the time of waking and to work with the events of the day and the night. So in the general field of Buddhism, there are many, many teachings about these different aspects. But if we are following the way of Dzogchen, we don't need to apply many methods or antidotes. As Garab Dorji said, the first thing is to see how your mind actually is, to be introduced to your mind, to have its structure pointed out, or to find yourself in the state of openness. This is the most important thing, is to see that the content of the mind, if one is immersed in it, becomes the great obscuration to awakening to the mind itself. Now, you can't clear out the content of the mind because it is dynamic and emergent and it's not fixed. The fact that experience is arising is not the problem. The problem is my situation in myself with the felt immediate sense, I exist. The world is full of people, they have different ideas. Good luck to them. I'm me. I'm not like them. And this rejection of the other as a way of maintaining the unique specificity of the self is truly toxic, because what makes me different from you is something very, very small. We walk, we talk, we eat, we sleep. Like all sentient beings, I have the sense of existing. So in the Dzogchen, we come to see that existence is a dull form of presence. As we're here this evening, we're each of us in our own place, we're just here. We look around, we see things, we hear things. I'm present. I'm not absent. I'm not dead. I'm here. I'm here like this. And this, we feel a sensation in our back. Then it's gone. I say a sentence, then it stops. Our experience is dynamic. I am present with this dynamic flow of experience. And the sense of I, the one who is present, also is changing and unfolding. This is not hidden. This is directly available to us at each moment. But when we start from the never-ending task of maintaining the solidity and validity of my existence, then this creates a kind of veil which thickens and dulls the immediacy of presence. So going back to the question, whether we are going to sleep or waking up, the essential practice is to do the Guru Yoga and to relax into the immediacy of presence. And through this, to see directly that all the ingredients of my substantial sense of self are in fact ephemeral and ungraspable. So then we see, oh, the less effort I make, the less the energy of myself as the doer is able to contaminate the field of experience. And that's what we do. Whether we're lying down to sleep or getting up, doing some practice, having a shower, whatever you do, who is the experiencer? If you tell yourself about the experiencer, it's going to be you. And then you wind this into your narrative of, I like this kind of coffee in the morning, but not later in the day. As if these details were somehow truly definitive of who you are. But the definition is already dissolving. So this is our work in every situation, to remain in relaxed, open presence without solidifying into an imagined existence. So the next question is outer, inner, secret. What do these terms indicate? These are used a lot in Tantra, with different differences of meaning and what they refer to. In general, outer means what's around you, your environment. Inner means what arises in your body. And secret means whatever is arising in the mind. So secret means something which is difficult to grasp hold of. Because it's difficult to grasp hold of, our tendency is to turn towards the outer. So I see the trees, I see the sunset, and so on. These are the seeming separate existence of the outer seems to confirm my own separate existence. When we look directly for the mind itself, we can't find it. It's not secret because it's hidden. It's secret because you cannot open to it with a claw, with a grasping hand. The key to the secret is openness. Oh, that's why we do the practice. Then the next question is, say something about the relation between the teacher and student in the present times. Basically, the student is somebody who wants to learn something, and the teacher should be somebody who can facilitate this, make it easier. We have dharma in the mode of duality. That is to say, you can study books about dharma, you can learn all kind of Sanskrit words and so on, and then you have a body of knowledge. But that doesn't take us very far. We are concerned with being able to relax into the original situation. So in that sense, the teacher can teach you about yourself, but only you can directly learn how you are. Because whatever is taught is an indication through symbolism or narrative. It's a story about something. We can also try to create situations of which can have some effects, like saying "Phat," but you can't guarantee that that will shift anything in anyone. The key person in all of this is the student. The student needs to be willing to learn how to learn. And we learn by observing. We were just looking at nothing is hidden, except it can be hidden by our way of looking. So if we are looking for something, this mode of looking traps us in subject. I am the one who is looking. This is what I am looking at. So how to look in order to see something which is not a thing? So this links to what we looked at before, the difference between presence and existence. By relaxing and not looking for anything in particular, our attention is less and less fixated on the qualities of the arising object or experience. This puts the ego on a very thin diet because it's less and less to grasp at and to take hold of and to compose itself from. So the more we relax, we experience just seeing without selective looking. So this is one of the reasons we meditate with our senses open. Whatever comes is the object of meditation for the moment that it's arising, and then it goes. So different people can tell you about this and describe the practice and give you encouragement and show some of the problems which can arise. But in the end, each person has to Just simply be present and see what presence is. It's not the presence of something. You could say it's the presence of nothing, and yet there is a presence. So this is where language fails. It's beyond conceptualization, beyond expression, beyond speech. So in a sense, the function of the teacher is to help the student be at home in infinite silence, in infinite depth, in infinite light. So here's another question. Someone writes, I have the experience of nothingness with awareness, sometimes after Phat, and says it's vast, clear, and unlimited. Is this still within duality? Does it matter? When you try to make sense of experience, you're back being the postman, putting the letters into the little pigeonholes for the houses in the street. The more you try to conceptualize experience, the more you strengthen the thinker. The thinker is the supervisor, but it is our attachment to thinking which feeds the whole movement of samsara. But if I don't know what's going on, I could be lost. But you're already lost. You are deeply and strongly lost in exactly the confidence you have that you know what is going on. When you rest on knowledge, you rest on something which is after the fact. When we think about something, the moment of revelation has already passed. You're thinking about the trace of the moment, but actually there is no trace. So in Dzogchen, we're concerned with the self-arising and self-liberating or self-vanishing quality of all experience. Something's here, then it's gone. What was it? Tell yourself a story. You can say anything about it. There are many different kinds of stories. In the Nyingmapa system, we talk of 9 yanas or vehicles. These are like 9 styles of storytelling. If you're talking in a Theravadan mode or a Hinayana mode, you're not saying the same kind of things as in a tantric mode. These become differential contents of experience, but experience is direct. So always the instruction is don't think about what's happening. Stay present on this arising moment. Do this again and again and again and again. The more you think, the more you get lost. Truly, this world is whatever you think it is. This is the potential of emptiness. Emptiness means there is no inner defining private personal essence to anything. Our world is interpreted, and we know that people give different interpretations to flowers, to fruits, to people. And the interpretation that we give to someone in one mood is not the same interpretation we'll give in another mood. Knowing what it is knowing what it isn't, but you still believe you know what it is. Knowledge is the royal road to ignorance. Confidence in knowledge is extremely dangerous because you build your house of concepts so tightly that no air can get in between the bricks. The longer you live in that house, the less oxygen there is. So just keep saying Phat, much better. Now here's another similar question. Are there objective natural laws spontaneously arising from the primordial ground? Or are all concepts, including the apparent relationship of cause and effect that appear in the natural world, a product of ignorance? I'll say that in 2 parts because it's very long. Or are all concepts, including the apparent relationship of cause and effect that appear in the natural world, a product of ignorance. If you plant wheat, you won't get barley. So that's something every farmer knows, that these rules of cause and effect are self-evident. Within the relative domain of subject and object, cause and effect, life on this arena of samsara called Jambudvipa, this manifests for sure from the basic cause of ignorance. But we are so deeply in ignorance, we can't find a way back out. So the concepts which explain the seasons, the patterns of the moon, astronomy, medical science, all the incredible developments in computers and so on, these are, on you go. This kind of knowledge arises from the question, what is this? And what can I do with it? So these questions are dependent on the separation of subject and object. So rather than saying objective natural laws, one might say that patterning is intrinsic to the energy of manifestation. Sometimes this is described as autopoiesis, which is a kind of it's a way of talking about the self-organizing of energy. When we say a natural law, this is an interpretation through science or chemistry or physics, which explains why particular kinds of crystalline forms arise, for example. This kind of question will be interesting for some people. However, there is no end to thinking, and we are going to die. And having accumulated this kind of conceptual knowledge, we will find little support when we die. With this kind of approach to the experiences of the world, there is a kind of paradoxical turn. We think that our questioning is taking us closer to the phenomena, but it's always the phenomena as revealed to me with my currently employed method of looking. So for meditators, what we are looking for, we don't find by looking. Looking hides what can only be seen by simply seeing. Then the next question, what dharma approaches can help a person with chronic illness and chronic pain without making them feel unable, inadequate, or stressed? According to dharma, we all have the potential to be Buddhas, and could even be said that we are sort of hazy Buddhas or cloudy Buddhas, but we are unable to awaken to this because we have ignorance and duality and karmic habits. So this is a disability. Everyone in samsara is disabled. So on top of that, of course, we can have chronic illnesses and chronic pain, which further disable us. And when functioning in your body is difficult, you can feel somehow less than other people who seem to have healthy bodies. But from the Dharma point of view, all of us, whether young and healthy, intelligent or not so bright, all of us share 95% the same level of disability. So if you have chronic pain, it's important not to get caught by the pain. You don't want to be conditioned and defined by the pain. So we began talking about anger arising and suffusing, filling us up. In the same way, pain can do that. If you get rheumatic pain, chronic back pain, every move you make can't relieve you from this seemingly oppressive, continuous attack. Now, the Buddha says very clearly, all sentient beings want to be happy. The first teaching is about suffering, and that suffering has an origin, and there is a way to get free of suffering, and there is a method to do that. So on a general level, this indicates suffering is bad, let's get rid of it. Happiness is good, let's get more of it. But if you have chronic pain or some chronic condition, you can't get rid of it. You've already seen all kinds of doctors and professionals. This is what you live with. And I don't want to live with it. Okay, so am I more oppressed by the pain or my dislike of the pain? I've tried getting rid of the pain and I can't do it. But maybe I could manage something with my dislike of the pain, my anger at the pain, my fury that I am suffering in this way. It's not about taking a stoic position and trying to be indifferent to what is occurring. Rather, it's to turn towards the experience which is occurring, however it is, and to be present with it as it is. Pain is sensation, and sensation is dynamic. It's the nerves are pathways. There is pulsation going through them. Everything about us is pulsation. Our breath, our heartbeat, our endocrine system, nervous system. This is all communicative energy, moving, moving, moving. So from the point of view of Dharma, the conceptualization, I hate this pain, I am oppressed by this pain, these expressions substantiate or substantialize the pain. They turn it into something definite, enduring, and hostile towards me. But when we sit with the pain, we find it's not a thing. You can say a lot to the pain, about the pain. You can shout at it, rage at it. But how is it? So from the Dharma point of view, one should turn towards the experience and be present with it so that it can show itself in its raw, uncooked, unmodified form. So this is our way of proceeding. This is how it is. And we sit with that. And the more finessed our attention, the more nuanced the patterning of the arising shows itself to be. That might seem a terrible extra burden when you just want to have a so-called ordinary life. If we say, well, why me? Why did it happen to me? Generally, nowadays, people say, oh, that's terrible luck. I'm so sorry. However, from the Dharma point of view, it arises as the ripening of the effects of some previous activity. That is to say, it's not meaningless suffering. It arises due to causes and circumstances. So by staying close to the arising of the sensation, the experiencer is thinned by the quality of attention to what is occurring. And we can start to feel, or feel is not maybe the right word, we have a quality of being with what is occurring, which is different from this is happening to me. Who is it happening to? Presence. So we're back with this central point. If we relax into presence, experience is not oppressive because there is no one to oppress. But if we get caught up in the experience and take it as definitive of my existence, then it's obvious that this is happening to me. Now, from the Dharma point of view, and it's not the common point of view, that is a misinterpretation or that is a fabrication. So if we are stuck in our dualistic thinking, the Dharma exit or the Dharma opening, which relieves this oppressive pain, will seem ridiculous. Sometimes I hear people say, oh, but I've tried that, it didn't work. So we have to hear ourselves if we say this. I've tried this. The starting place is I. This is me. I'm doing my best. And it's not enough. And nothing changes. This was the final part of the question, which was without making them feel unable, inadequate, or stressed. It's difficult because from the Dharma point of view, we're starting in the wrong place. We're starting with a series of propositions which seem to be manifestly true. I exist. I have this problem. I can't get rid of this problem. I'm unable to do anything with it. So if you start from that position, it's so solid, so fixed, so definitive that one's already kind of hopeless. So in the text, they talk about the swamp of samsara. We can sink into a swamp. We sink into our life situation. Some people feel lonely and unloved. They feel, oh, something's missing in me. If only I had someone to love me and take care of me. If only my body wasn't this shape. If only I had worked harder at school. Again, this kind of if only makes life very solid. I'm a victim of my mistakes or my bad luck. And all of these ways of thinking revolve around the idea, this is happening to me. So some of us looked some month or so ago at the second part of the book, Finding Freedom. And in it, it's called the wheel, the sharp weapon wheel. And it's a very interesting text because it's pointing out from the Dharma point of view, there are no accidents. All phenomena arise from causes. Therefore, whatever is happening for us is not some meaningless event or some horrible punishment, but it's the particular shaping of the patterns we experience in this life. It doesn't matter what other people experience. Comparing and contrasting is a very good way to increase suffering. So however our life is, whether it feels full and joyful or desolate or hellishly painful, if we want to see the truth of our being here, then asking what is it and why is it probably doesn't help much. We need to stay with how it is emerging, and observe how do I respond to this. And the more I see the intensity of how I respond and can start to relax out of that intensity, then we can see how it is. Then this is the field of clarity. This can be very difficult to trust when we feel oppressed by life. It's much more tempting to look for an antidote. But with chronic conditions, as yet, there is no antidote. Therefore, rather than taking it into what can I do about this, it's how can I live with this? So that brings us to our time for this evening. Thank you very much. Oh, can you go? So thank you very much to Pedro for helping the recording and to our translators. So hopefully we will meet again. And so goodbye for this evening. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Gracias, James. Gracias, Juan.
Bye.
Yes.
Bye.
That's
Goodbye.
Thank you,
Bye.
James.
Bye.
Adiós.